No, and also Jimmy Jam Garvin, I think.
He came later.
Yeah, but they were awesome. Their fuse with the Von Erichs was awesome. And first guys that like really had like an entrance video and stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of ushered in a lot of stuff. I just thought they were really cool. And
Where is it?
one of their first one of their first groups, I think too. Like
yeah, I think so.
So.
My number 4, I have to mention, even though I don't want to, is NWO. That's the one where they had like so many different color NWOs. You know, each one had a different color shirt.
Yeah, yeah, it got out of hand.
Yeah. But when they first started it, I liked it. But then they just ran it too much. They're doing it again.
Yeah.
But they're calling it the band.
My number 4 is a TNA faction. It was this past last year. They got together, the Main Event Mafia. You had Kurt, Sting, Booker T, Steiner, and Nash. Not all former world champs.
There's like 50 world titles.
Yeah, definitely. It's they're all. Well, it was a great heel team. They won a lot together. I think they almost all had the belts at the same time again. So
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
At one time, the whole group had.
Booker T and Steiner were tag team. Angle was, or Sting was world, I think. Or Angle was
had
world
Extra
champ.
Vision.
Or no, I think Samoa Joe had that.
Yeah.
I think, and Nash had the Legends title or something. I think Angle was the only one without a title for some reason.
Sting was kind of in the group but not in the group.
Yeah, that was sort of weird. Like, what was that? Like when they had those gang beatings out back or whatever, and like Bubba Ray Dudley almost died or something. Like they threw him in the dumpster and Sting just walked away. Like when he was supposed to beat him up. I don't
involved
know.
in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame him, but and then him and Angle fought and.
They were a heel group and Sting was a face, and now
Yeah.
he's a heel.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. It's teenage.
Yeah. That's true. So, my number 4 is the Alliance. When Vince bought WCW and put WCW what was left, and ECW put them all together, and had that Alliance going after the WWE. It was pretty. I didn't think it was memorable because of the storyline, not because of Mike Awesome being in the group and
Just incredible.
and,
Mr. Breadstick Maker.
and who else was in that group? Sean Stasiak or whatever. I don't know who was in it, but it was the bottom feeders of WCW. It's just I remember more for the storyline. You?
My number 4 is the Hart Foundation. When it was Brett, Owen, Bulldog, Brian Pillman. I think Jim Neidhart was in there for a little bit too.
Yeah.
I thought that was just like really cool, like, and they were kind of like anti-American and had their feud like with I think DX and like just about all the baby faces. I remember WWE had like the wrestler the Patriots and they would beat him up like every week and stuff. I thought they were just like a really cool group.
Yeah, I remember.
Was that when Brett said that America was shaped like a toilet bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like Brett being a heel, but it was a good group. Yeah.
Well, he even said he wouldn't have said that.
Yeah. No, it was. I like that. Yeah.
My number 4.
Number 3.
3. Okay. From WCW, you have to put him in 4 Horsemen.
4 Horsemen? Yeah, that's
Oh,
a big group. Now, are we talking old school 4 Horsemen or any combination? Cause
I never really followed them, but I had to put them in because they're the main, Flair and Waterboy and
Tully
Blanchard, yeah, and Ole Anderson. And then
the original, basically, because the other later we got Barry Windham and all these other people. It's like
the later one they had with Flair and Benoit, and I think Dean Malenko and then the only one I didn't agree with was Steve Mongo McMichael because he was the enforcer guy.
He's a Chihuahua and shit.
Pepe.
Yeah.
But the rest of them were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What?
My number 3 is the NWO. I'd never really watched WCW, so I missed out a lot of that stuff. Maybe they'll make an NWO video one of these days. But gotta put them in. for what I've seen of them. Hogan and Hall and Nash, and it got a little out of hand there in WWE when X-Pac and Booker T and Big Show and Shawn was fine, but it was sort of weird. Like all these, like it was almost like, oh, everyone's gonna be in the NWO again.
Yeah.
That's what Vince said. If anyone was going to kill his creation, he was going to kill
Yeah, I
it.
remember he was on that chair and he had.
I'm gonna poison it.
Looking in the mirror and he turned the chair around and went back into the NWO. And
Yeah.
That's what Flair supposed to have bought his company or whatever. And,
Mm.
If anybody's going to poison, it's going to be me. That's when Ma goes, oh no, Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah, she still says to this day he killed it by bringing them in.
All right, Ma. Ooh.
My number 3 is DX. From the old school with Road Dogg and Billy Gunn and Chyna and X-Pac to just Shawn and Hunter. I like all of it. It's all good. They're funny. They can wrestle. Like one time they had all the belts too, where they tag champs and heavyweight and intercontinental and yeah. Rick Rude was in it briefly.
Yeah, he was like the manager.
Yeah, he always had a suit on.
You want a guy ever to be on Nitro and Raw same night? Rick Rude.
I think at the same time. I think it was at the same time too.
They were guys because Raw was taped.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but
wasn't Shane McMahon sort of? Because he was on the Raw.
This was different though. This was
Titantron.
back.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He was
yeah,
on.
he was under contract with WWE. Did Raw,
okay.
and they
Which was
taped it.
Then he was released. Showed up on Nitro the following week live.
Mm.
So whenever he played Raw, it was the same night as he was on Nitro debuting. So.
Nice.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Yeah, I remember that. So, my number 3.
Yeah.
Right, 3. My number 3 is Evolution. Triple H, Ric Flair, Randy, and Batista. Just an awesome group. They held all the belts at one time too, and it was a great launching pad for two, I believe, future Hall of Famers, Randy Orton and Batista. I mean, they've already done more than enough to have a Hall of Fame career. I believe Bourne's like, what, an 8-time world champion, and Batista's like 7, I think, now. So, and
More to
that's just-
come.
and they were just really cool. I like their shirt. And like paid and laid or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
They said on the
I
back.
remember that was that one cover of the WWE magazine where they had all like 4 sports cars
Yeah.
and they all had
them
suits
around
on
them.
dead in front of them. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah. They were just like they were kind of like the modern day Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. So number 3.
Kev, number 2.
They were my number 2. They're my number 2.
Oh, Evolution.
Evolution.
My number 2 is Evolution. Every one of them is going in the Hall of Fame, like we said. Yeah, and they all had the belts at once. You know, it began Orton's career, which I loved. Made him a real player. With well, not like that, but as Intercontinental champ, they beat The Rock and Sock at WrestleMania.
It launched Batista's career.
Yeah, yeah.
He was just like a
Definitely.
Deacon Batista carrying around
Yeah.
a briefcase.
Orton beat.
They wrestled like a
Wow,
couple
was
times,
out.
and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden he was in Evolution, and sky was the limit for him.
Yeah.
It was sort of like stalled at first because that was what they wanted the 4 of them, and then Orton got injured, and they had to. It was just like Triple H and Flair there for a little bit, and Batista was injured the same time as Orton, so then Batista came back and cashed in that bounty on Goldberg.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Remember? Thank God.
Yeah.
Everyone was a Batista fan that night.
Oh, yeah.
Your number 2?
My number 2 was the NWO. I agree with Kevin, not the watered down, everybody and their mom was in the NWO version later. The original with Hall and Nash and Hogan. When he turned, shocked the world. Just in X-Pac, I'll give you those, that was it. Then it got out of hand, and every week somebody was joining, and you turn on Nitro, it was a 3-hour NWO show. And yeah, then it was Wolfpack and LWO, and it was,
Yeah.
but the original, those 3 or 4, that was the best. And mostly because they changed this business. There was a reason to flip the channel. Everybody was watching WCW because of them.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the reason they beat Vince for 86 weeks or whatever it is. It was the NWO. It was something to watch.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah. Never had a group like that.